The emotional roller coaster that has been season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty reached its climactic conclusion in episode 8, leaving fans devastated yet somehow not surprised. The episode opens with Belly listening to a sweet voice memo from Jeremiah, who apologizes for missing their beach meetup the night before. She's in full pre-wedding bliss, watching Taylor Swift and Gracie Abrams, thus playing over her morning routine. Meanwhile, Conrad, who dropped his love confession bomb the previous night, appears at Belly's door, desperately attempting damage control. Can we just forget that ever happened? He pleads, claiming he was drunk, a lie Belly immediately calls out. Their confrontation turns explosive, with Belly demanding Conrad leave town and never speak to her again, while Conrad throws back that she broke his heart. The brutal honesty between them cuts deep, especially when Conrad states what we've all known: love you. I will never not love you. When Belly brings up their shared time at Christmas, Conrad's non-denial confirms what fans have suspected: something significant happened between them during that period. His parting shot, "I'm not pretending for you anymore," lingers as Belly's internal monologue reveals a devastating truth: she will never be able to completely let him go. Despite this acknowledgement, Belly remains determined to marry Jeremiah, convincing herself that she can't walk away from him even though she can't let go of Conrad. Taylor confronts Conrad about his behavior, correctly guessing that he wants to whisk Belly away. Conrad's honest admission, "I don't think she forgot either," speaks volumes about the unresolved feelings between them, though Taylor warns him that he's not capable of being the person Belly needs. The wedding preparations continue at a spa day, where Taylor and Belly have an intense conversation about Conrad. Belly reveals that she told Conrad to leave town, hoping he won't even show up to the rehearsal dinner. When she asks Taylor if she did the right thing, her friend reassures her, but Belly can't shake her anxiety about Conrad potentially saying something to Jeremiah. The rehearsal dinner scene is fraught with tension as Conrad actually does appear, much to Belly's horror. The discomfort is palpable as Jeremiah delivers a heartfelt toast about Belly being his soulmate, while Conrad watches in silent agony. Later that night, Conrad drowns his sorrows alone until Laurel joins him. Their emotional conversation reveals how deeply Conrad is suffering, with Laurel showing surprising compassion toward him despite the circumstances. The episode takes a dramatic turn on the morning of the wedding when Jeremiah disappears. Panic ensues as Belly wakes up alone, having spent the night with Jeremiah against tradition. Her desperation grows when no one can find him, and she's forced to confess to Stephen that she told Jeremiah about Conrad's declaration of love. Stephen, furious with both Belly and Conrad, confronts his former friend, demanding he fix what he broke. The confrontation is raw and painful, with Stephen pointing out that while Conrad disappeared from their lives, Jeremiah became family. "He has Thanksgiving with my family. He has the spare key to my apartment. He calls my grandmother Harmony." Conrad reluctantly agrees to find Jeremiah, though the damage seems irreparable. Conrad tracks Jeremiah down at the beach where their mother's ashes were scattered. Their confrontation turns physical, with Jeremiah punching Conrad after years of pent-up resentment. Conrad finally admits aloud what he couldn't say to Belly: "I love her. Sometimes I think she's the only girl I could ever be with, but she doesn't want me. She picked you." This raw confession, coupled with a letter from their late mother Susannah that Conrad gives to Jeremiah, convinces Jeremiah to return for the wedding, though he makes it clear to Conrad that their relationship as brothers is over. "You're not my brother anymore. You're dead to me." When Jeremiah returns, the conversation that follows between him and Belly is perhaps the most honest and heartbreaking of the entire series. Jeremiah reveals that he's known about Belly and Conrad's Christmas encounter for months, since before spring break, after a neighbor spotted Conrad at the beach house when Belly claimed to be there alone. This revelation explains Jeremiah's sudden distance and the fight they had before his spring break trip. "I was waiting for you to tell me," he explains, the hurt evident in his voice. Despite this betrayal, Jeremiah admits he still thought they could make it work when Belly accepted his proposal. But now, faced with Conrad's confession and Belly's reaction, he can no longer ignore the truth. The pivotal moment comes when Jeremiah asks Belly to look him in the eyes and tell him she doesn't still love Conrad. Belly's honest admission that she'll always love Conrad a little isn't enough for Jeremiah, who wants all of her, not just the parts that aren't still tied to his brother. You can't marry me to erase him, he tells her, a devastating truth that both have been avoiding, despite Belly's desperate attempts to convince both herself and Jeremiah that what they have is stronger than her lingering feelings for Conrad. Jeremiah knows better. I see the way you look at him, he says. I don't think you've ever looked at me like that. Not once. This moment of clarity, painful as it is, finally brings honesty to their relationship. The wedding is called off, and we see Belly sobbing in her mother's arms as Taylor Swift's Cardigan plays, a song choice that feels particularly pointed with lyrics about old love and eventual return. The final scenes show Belly at an airport purchasing a ticket to Paris, the dream trip she had once planned with Taylor before deciding to marry Jeremiah instead. The symbolism Belly is finally choosing herself, embarking on a journey of self-discovery rather than defining herself through either Fisher brother. The episode closes with shots of the beach, reminiscent of where the series began, bringing the story full circle while leaving the door open for Belly's future. What makes this finale so powerful is how it acknowledges that sometimes love isn't enough. Jeremiah loves Belly deeply. I don't know how to not love you, even now. And that's the worst part. He tells her, but he recognizes that her heart remains divided. Belly's journey throughout the series has been about growing up and making difficult choices. And here she faces perhaps the most difficult one of all, acknowledging that she can't have both brothers in her life, and that maybe she needs time without either of them to figure out who she truly is. Conrad's arc also reaches a turning point as he finally confronts his feelings honestly, only to realize that timing and trust matter as much as love. His departure from the wedding, presumably following Jeremiah's demand that he never see either of them again, leaves his story unresolved but not without hope. The series has always been about summers, beginnings, and returns, suggesting that perhaps, after time has healed some wounds, these characters might find their way back to each other. For fans who have been divided into Team Conrad and Team Jeremiah throughout the series, the finale offers no simple victory. Instead, it provides something more meaningful, a recognition that love is complicated, that people can hurt each other even with the best intentions, and that sometimes growing up means walking away from what feels safe to discover who you truly are. As Belly boards that plane to Paris alone, we're left with the sense that her summer of weddings and heartbreak has finally given way to fall, a season of change, maturity, and new beginnings.